Hello? Are you okay? Are you okay?
Are you okay?
YouTube, hello, good morning. Say hello to Robbie.
Good morning.
I could not talk to the camera until
Yeah.
I just ate because I was terribly hangry.
That's why I just said, have you told the vlog how rude you were this morning?
I'm like, I'm feeling hangry, I'm feeling grumpy. I don't really want to get on camera and be that grumpy. How you doing today, babes?
I'm fine. I'm very consistent with my hangriness. It's very rare I get hangry. Yours is very volatile in the morning.
Okay, there's something that I want to talk about that came up after yesterday's webinar. Something I want to talk about because in the webinar I talked about the importance of having multiple income streams, and I mentioned 3 particular income streams that I've used to sort of build my lifestyle. Now, if you have a mentor, a financial mentor, you're reading the financial books, you will probably see the people saying it's wise to have multiple income streams. Here's the thing though, what I find is that when people hear that, what they do is they think, well, I've got my job, and then when I get home from my job, I'm gonna try a little bit of this, and I'm gonna do a little bit of that, I'm gonna sprinkle in a little bit of this, and they try and do like 3 things at once. They try to launch 3 things at once. And when someone goes and does that, they're gonna run into some challenges because you have to understand this. What many people don't understand is that if this is your results, and let's just say your results start from day 1 and just have a perfect linear growth, which is kind of not realistic, by the way, but let's just assume for a second that you have perfect linear growth. This is your results. This is day 1, and let's just say this is 5 years. What many people don't understand is that they're gonna have a burnout point. There's only so much energy that you have. There's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much energy that you can muster to push into a project. And what most people don't understand here is that the energy that is required at the very start of a project is massive relative to the energy that's required to keep the thing going. Think of like a 747 on the runway before it takes off into the sky. To get that thing off the ground requires a significant amount of energy and fuel. But once it's up into the sky, it can sort of coast a little bit. You gotta have a little bit of energy to push the thing along as well in the sky, but there's more fuel consumed at the start than at any other period of time. So let's just say that this is your burnout zone. This is the line where if you put in this much energy, you would literally burn out. And this is where people do that, by the way. They have startups and they push in every single bit of energy that they've got. But you know what happens? Other areas of their life start to fall over. Their health starts to decay. Their relationships start struggling. So this is your burnout zone. And to get something off the ground, usually you have to go very, very, very close to burnout right at the start before you can start to get that thing into the air, start managing itself, start delegating some of the tasks with the income that you're making from it. Then you can calm down. Then you can put in a minimal amount of energy and effort if you get the thing delegated. So this line here is your energy. And with everything, with every business that I've ever seen, with every venture, whether it's trading, whether you're doing e-commerce, whether you're vlogging, blogging, whether you're starting a restaurant, whatever it is, right here at the start, you're gonna use a tremendous amount of energy. You're gonna need a tremendous amount of energy. And that's just if you want linear results just like this. Now, factor in that your results aren't gonna look like that. More realistically, your results are gonna look somewhere like this. Usually you go sideways for a little while, and then you start to accelerate, and then you can get some exponential growth. But usually you go sideways for a bit, if not down, because you need to start up costs before you start generating revenue. Usually you go sideways, if not down, and then you take off. So if this is your real world results, what you're gonna have here is a situation where you haven't got very many results, but your energy has been massive. So during this period here is sort of the startup period, and this is the launch phase. This phase here is when you're exhausting a tremendous amount of energy for bugger all results. So with that in mind, I really don't suggest trying to do multiple things at the same time. Or perhaps I should say, I really don't suggest trying to launch multiple things at a time. The energy required to get something off the ground and get it to a point where it's self-sustaining is you will need a tremendous amount of time, energy, focus, resources, mostly mental resources and creativity. To get something off the ground to the point where it's self-sufficient requires everything that you've got So if you're trying to do that with 2 things at once or 3 things at once, what's the probability of you getting any of them off the ground? Remember, he who tries to catch 2 rabbits catches none. So I believe in having multiple income streams. I believe in having multiple non-correlated income streams and being involved in many niches. But each individual one needs a phenomenal amount of energy and effort to get off the ground. And what I find is that the people who try to do it all, the people who try to do like 3 things at once, launch 3 things at once, they either overestimate their ability to manage a lot of energy output, or they underestimate the energy required to get something off the ground. I think that if you bring both of those exaggerations back into balance, you'll realize that the most efficient and effective way is to focus on one thing at a time. Usually you have to have a job at the start. Usually, most people have to have the job at the start, but you have one thing on the side. Focus on that one thing and put everything you've got into it. And because you have so much focus and energy in that one thing, you're going to get very close to burnout still, but the probability of you succeeding in that's going to be much higher than if your energies are scattered out over 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different things like I see some people trying to do. Focus on the one thing, get it off the ground, get it to the point where you've got the income coming in, then use the income to delegate some of the work, step back a little bit, have it going without you, and then you can use your energy to go to the next thing, and then the next thing, and you keep doing that. And if you keep doing that, that's how you get to the situation where you got multiple things happening, you got things moving and shaking, you got the teams growing all over the world, you got the things that are happening without you actually being there. So that's sort of my philosophy on that. If you follow that, I guarantee you'll have a smoother, more effortless, and more successful journey than if you're trying to do it all yourself. On the topic of burnout, sometimes it's nice to remember that you don't always have to be doing something. It's Saturday night now, and I've been, this week's been a big week because of the webinar and because of, I decided to do this. I take on this burden of vlogging 7 for 7, but you know what? I've really enjoyed it. I love vlogging. I love editing. I've tried to be a little bit creative and do a little bit of creativity in each vlog. I think you might have seen that. And that's really cool. It's like a nice creative outlet. But one thing that I always like to keep in mind is don't overcook it. Don't overdo it. As I told the guys in the webinar yesterday, you will attract into your space what you're resonating at. And if you're thinking, I don't have the success, I don't have the results, and I need to hustle, and I need to grind, I need to scratch, and I need to claw, and you always need to be working, and staying up late and burning yourself out, what you're vibrating on is lack. What you're vibrating on is scarcity. You're actually resonating with scarcity. You're not resonating with, I'm successful, I've got the abundance, I've got the success. And so be careful not to overwork, working on the things because you think you have to, because you're actually compensating for a feeling of you're not successful enough. That in and of itself is going to keep success, it's going to keep your results at arm's length. So always keep in mind to keep a balance between really working, and when you're working, you work. You don't have the phone. Put the phone on the airplane mode, and you got to do what you got to do, and you be efficient and effective, and make sure that you're doing things the best way that you possibly can. Let me give an example. This week, I'm using Adobe Premiere to edit. I just moved over from Final Cut to Premiere, and so this is one of the reasons I wanted to do the 7 for 7. But you know, one thing that the way I think is, if I'm going to move over to a new software, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get more efficient and more effective. I'm going to become a better editor. So I program brand new shortcut keys, and so I figure I've got the right hand, which is on the mouse, I've got the left hand, which is on the keys, and so my whole editing process, basically, I don't have to move my left hand. Every single key on the keyboard that I can reach with my left hand is programmed to a very specific editing tool, either a cut or a ripple delete, and I can edit now with my left hand, and it's more efficient. And at the start, for the first 4 days of this week doing my vlogs, it was very uncomfortable and very awkward, and I was very slow, and I stuffed up, and some of these edits this week, by the way, have taken 5 hours, and so it's been very clumsy, but you know what? I'm getting quick now, and moving forward, I'm going to become quicker. And I just thought I'd share that because someone once told me that how you do anything is how you do everything. The littlest things, like taking the time to set up shortcuts and efficiencies and building in systems so that you can become more effective at your work, that's going to pay massive dividends in the long run. So my philosophy is sit down and do the work and do the absolute most best, most efficient thing that you can do. And when you sit down, resonate on, I'm a boss, I'm here to get the results, I'm here to do the work. But when you have downtime, it's Saturday afternoon now, and I'm having downtime, and I'm having a wine, and I'm having some honeyed nuts, and I'm going to be listening to my book, and I'm going to have downtime. And you know what I resonate on in downtime is I'm successful, I'm abundant, I'm the boss. I resonate on I'm the boss when I'm doing downtime. And when I do downtime, I feel abundant. As soon as you have a relaxing time out and you feel guilty or you feel poorly or you feel like, oh, I should be working because I haven't got success, instantly you're resonating on scarcity and you're pushing your abundance away from you. So in your work, resonate on abundance and on success and on being the boss. In your downtime, resonate on success and on abundance and on being the boss. Sometimes, you know what? This afternoon, I'm going to read some Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I'm going to learn principles and wisdoms this afternoon. It's going to make a difference in my life. If you're ever in a situation when you want to have downtime and you don't exactly know what the next step is in work, always come back to education, knowledge, expanding your awareness. Sometimes sitting on the balcony with a wine, with your AirPods in, listening to Audible, listening to the greats, that can be the most efficient and effective use of your time. There's been times where I've had an hour of listening to a tape or an audio or a book or reading a book with a highlighter, and that hour has literally propelled me years further in the journey. So don't underestimate the power of downtime. Very specifically use downtime, and downtime where you're not feeling guilty, you're not feeling scarce, not feeling like you actually should be working, but downtime when you go into it resonating. I'm the boss, I'm abundant, I'm successful, I'm going to listen to this education, to this wisdom to take me to the next level, to propel me forward into my future.
Reese?
No. Do you think Reese watches my vlogs? Reese, if you watch these vlogs, hello.
Hi, Reese.
Hello. Our friend has a boat. It looks very similar to this one, and he often drives by, but we haven't seen him for a little while, hey? You haven't seen him for a while. We used to. When he first got it, maybe he was out more, I don't know. What have you done this afternoon?
I've had a date with myself.
Right.
You want to see my setup?
Yeah. Hey, I'm following.
I need ice.
I need ice too. What is going on here? Holy gosh, babe. What is this?
This is my date with myself.
So what's the snacks?
Here's some snacks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, looks very good. Oh, you do have honeyed nuts in here. Ooh, scallywag. No.
That's for you.
No.
You sacrificed these delicious goodies because you cheekily stole a bite. That is your punishment.
Oh my golly gosh, I'm absolutely exuberated. I just chased Robyn around the whole house. This is day 6. This is Saturday night. This is day 6 of my 7 for 7. So I'll see you tomorrow bright and early for the last installment of my week of vlogging. If you've enjoyed this week, put it in the comments, let me know. I've got some ideas for how I'm gonna sort of move forward after the week. But if you have any suggestions, I'm always open to hearing, and I appreciate any bit of feedback or advice that you have. I'll see you tomorrow.